This episode of After the Whistle contains profanity. Listener discretion advised. Please enjoy.
He's up and ready to rock.
What's up, boys?
So Rivs is flustered again.
Uh-oh.
Why do you think he's flustered today? Good day, by the way, episode 15.
There could be a plethora of reasons why.
Just think back to our last time we were on together. Let's keep it simple. He doesn't know what we're talking about again.
Oh, he doesn't know the topics.
He says to me, he's like, "What? Where are we going?" And I'm like, "Riv, this isn't live air every day. This isn't
but
2 hours."
What you guys should do? Listen, but this is what you should do. Like 1 week, you should come up with like kind of the topics. Next week, he should come up with some of the topics, and you can just kind of throw it back and forth at each other.
Hey,
that's the way you should do it.
Batman, Robin. Okay. All right.
What does that make me? What does that make me?
You're the Riddler. Who's Batman's best rival, if you want to call it that? Who would it be? Would it be the Joker? Obviously,
it's got to be the Joker. Absolutely,
the Joker. It's for sure. That'll be mine.
What would Brian Giunta be?
Is the Green Goblin part of the? Wasn't
the Green Goblin?
Yeah, that's Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
You mean the Green Hornet?
Oh, the Green Goblin.
Oh, I don't know who the Green
Goblin. That could be
is.
Spider-Man. That could be Spider-Man. Mixing up my superheroes.
I just remember watching Spider-Man. Some green guy running around, flying around on a flying surfboard.
I liked the Riddler though. The one from the like I think Jim Carrey played the Riddler in one of the newer ones, didn't he? Jim Carrey played the Riddler. I can't remember who Batman was in that one. Was that Val Kilmer? I can't remember who that. Yeah.
That could have been.
I love.
I don't think it was Michael. I don't think it was Michael Keaton. Might have been
Michael Keaton did what? He did the Joker, which that was unbelievable. And then the next one he did, I can't remember what that one was, but he did two, I think. But anyway,
I like the Joker. The Joker is good for me.
So Riv was all kind of flushed. By the way, have you seen some of the responses from last week's show? So many stories, so many great responses from people. Like
balls to butts.
Nuts to butts. The guy wrote
nuts to butts.
The nuts to butts story riding the heart. And you know what's funny? I was driving and I was crossing the border the other day, and I was thinking about our conversation. In fact, I might have even been listening to it. Is that real? Did you act like? I'm not questioning the story. I'm just saying, like, did you really do that? You really picked him up on a motorcycle and drove to a game?
100% happened. You got to get Mush on and have that conversation with him, because he'll tell you he was totally in fear of his life the whole time.
I'd love to do that.
He played like shit that night because he wasted all his energy holding on to me on the way down Eisenhower. Like,
I just couldn't imagine.
Where is he living now? Is he in San Jose?
No, he's up in Canada, in Ontario. He just travels a lot for San Jose. Yeah.
His brother coached me in junior.
So, Mush is not a big texter, right? So he'll call me at 11:30 at night, and I know that it's going to be a marathon FaceTime call. And he's up in his cabin because he's either hunting or he's fishing, and he's with his buddies, and he has a nice whiskey sitting next to him watching TV, and all he wants to do is talk to me about the old times. It's funny. It's that would be an episode all in itself, just listening to Mush and my conversations.
Get him on with you one day. Bring him on. We got room for one more.
For sure. I would love to. I'll
the funny thing is I told this story on and I'll make this real quick, but I told this story on the show.
There's no rush.
A few years back, and we were playing in San Jose, and Marchment was playing in San Jose at the time, and we went out all night, and we had to be on the bus at like 6:30 in the morning. Well, I got in at 5:30, and I decided that I was not going to go to bed. I had an hour, so I just packed my stuff, and I went straight down to the bus that was waiting outside. And I just threw my stuff on the bus, and I was the first guy on there. And if I'm going to pass out, I'm going to do it on the bus.
Yeah.
So I'm on the bus. I'm by myself. It's about 6:00, and there's no one on the bus. And on comes the bus, Scott Thornton, who's great friends with Mushy, right? And he comes on the bus, and I thought I was loaded, but I'm going to tell you right now, this was another level loaded. It was amazing. But he also had blood coming from his nose. He had blood or a scrape on his eye, and he had blood coming from his mouth. And I was like, what the heck, Scotty, what's going on here?
So Thornton had this or Marchment?
This is Thornton. So when I asked him, and he just kind of sat down in the seat in front of me, and I got up and I said, are you all right? Like, everything good? And he's like, oh yeah, everything's great. Everything's great. And he just fell asleep, sort of thing. So now I've got to go into the hotel, try and find out his roommate was, so they could pack his stuff and get his stuff on the bus. So I do all that, which, again, I'm like, this is the last thing I want to do. Like, I am dying right now.
Good teammate, though. Good teammate, like you always are, Rip.
Yeah, I go do that, and I come back in the bus, and I just kind of give him a little shake. I'm like, what's going on? What's with the blood and this and that? And he goes, Marchman and I got in a fight. And I said, like, together? Like, you guys fought
Like a bar
each other?
fight with other people, or they fought each other?
No. I said, you fought it, because I didn't know they were buddies. I said, you fought Marchman at a bar? He goes, no. We fought seven guys or something like that at the bar.
So wait a minute, I'm confused. Scott Thornton's not on the team?
He's on our team. He's on Montreal. And Marchman, it's his good buddy. And they're really good friends. So they went out and got, and got into one. And then all of a sudden, Scott Thornton shows up at 6:00.
Jesus.
And just comes straight to the bus. Doesn't even go to his room.
Didn't you have a? Go ahead, JR. You sound like you want to tell the story.
So we're in. When I was playing with the Hawks, Keenan used to take us on these little junkets, right? When we had a nice little span of games, days in between games. So this one time we went to Whistler, and we had 2 days at Whistler. And the first night we're in Whistler, we all went out and just got tattooed, and we're in a bar, and this guy comes up to me and Marchman and starts lipping at us, right? Calling us this, calling us that. Brian Marchman, you think he's nothing but a cheap hockey player, and just giving him the works, right? And Mush is like, buddy, we're just here to have fun. Just leave us alone. Get away from me. And he's like, yeah, sure. And he kept going. And so Mush finally goes, listen, if you don't get away from us, you're going to force me to physically take you away from us. And he goes, yeah, sure you are. You're nothing but a cheap shot. You can't fight, whatever, right? So the guy, so Mush goes, hey, why don't you step outside with me for a second? The guys, and then all of a sudden Mush disappears. And when I tell you that we were kind of like really drunk, we were drunk. And all of a sudden we're like, where's Mush? And then finally Mush comes walking into the bar. No guy, just Mush. And he comes up, picks up his beer. It's a great night, eh, boys? No, like, and we're like, what happened? He's like, I just took care of the problem. So we went outside. The guy was angeled in the snowbank, knocked out cold like this.
It's funny.
And Mush goes, I warned him. People sometimes don't listen. They have to learn the hard way.
You know what? And
it was
that's
just awesome.
And you know what's too bad? I'm sorry to say this. I mean, I think, if you deserve it, if you deserve to get knocked out, then you should get knocked out. I mean, just simple as that.
Well, has it happened to you in bars? Because so many people love to take those advantages to see either how tough they are, or to banter at somebody that they don't like. Or, I mean, I get it a lot in certain places, but it's probably not a good idea to banter and poke a big bear being a tough hockey player. Probably not a good thing to do.
Yeah, I've been poked
a lot. I've seen a lot of that over the years.
Oh my God.
The funny thing is, again, I'll just tell one more quick story. We were at, pretty much the majority of the boys and the Habs were at this bar, frequent place that we went to on Saint Laurent. You remember Saint Laurent, who had the Globe, Buonanotte, all those. Anyway, we were at a.
Was Rouge over there too? I remember a place called Rouge.
Yes.
Definitely remember a place called, that means red in French, JR.
Yeah.
I was seeing red that night.
So to make a long story short, Saku, he is not confrontational at all. But there was a night where he got into it with a guy that was, you could tell he was a little rough around the edges. And, Saku basically was not taking any of this guy's stuff. And to make a long story short, and this is how like it's serious stuff, nowadays. The guy ended up pulling a gun on Saku in the bar.
Oh.
And that's when it was like, whoa, hey,
okay.
whoa. One of those things, right?
They don't do that in Finland.
Different situation now.
Very, very different situation. And this is not the only story I have that I've been with a guy, Darcy Tucker and Shane Corson. Tucker had a gun pulled on him too in a Montreal bar. But anyway, that's another story. But anyway, Saku ends up having this situation, and the night ends really quickly. And we have, we know some people, some friends, of ours that kind of know what's going on all over in every aspect. And we went and told this
Say it without saying it, Riv.
what had happened.
One of these guys.
Yeah. We went and told, or at least mentioned it to this guy, what had happened. And he was not happy. He went and found out and asked all of the, heads of all these different associations, and found out that it was a certain guy in a certain association. And that guy ended up, I'm not sure if he went to Saku's house or if he called Saku on the phone and apologized for everything. Like he was told from the top down, oh my Lord, this is not the guy that you want to be doing that to.
If you want to be walking tomorrow, you better
so
apologize. I love those stories. I love
hey,
those
Riv,
stories.
can you tell I'm not trying to make this story time or anything, but you're talking Montreal, you're talking bars. Without naming the player's name, can you tell the story about the guy who went to the wrong house and was in the bathroom without naming the name? Please, can you just tell the story? We'll call him Andrew. Call him Mr. Andrew.
Confused.
This is one of the best stories.
Guy wasn't married, so it's perfect. You can tell the story. It's
what? I'm going to tell you right now. I don't mind even naming him.
Don't name him. Don't.
If we have him on, he'll tell you the story. It is absolutely one of the greatest stories ever. So this player on our team,
I've never laughed so hard. Go ahead.
Ended up, meeting a young lady, and decided that he was going to go over to her house, later on that night. And she had left.
It's called extend the festivities.
Yeah, exactly. So she had left to go home, and the player on our team had left to go home also, to go to her house. So he gets in his car, and he's driving a Porsche, and he's trying to read, because it's so dark. He's trying to read the numbers on the side of the mailboxes or whatever.
No navigation back then, JR.
No navigation.
No navigation.
No navigation. And he's looking at the sheet that she wrote down the numbers, and the numbers are just, he doesn't know if it's a 6 or an 8, and he's just kind of going through, and then finally
no texting, so it wasn't texted to him. Probably had to write it down on his hand. Sweaty palms from dancing at the bar. You know what I mean?
And so this is late, early morning, and he's thinking to himself, oh my Lord, my stomach is rumbling. It's like he's going to explode. Like, it's not, he doesn't have to go, number 2. He's got diarrhea. Like, he's got, got the stomach. He's like, oh,
his numero tray.
So anyway, he goes up and he pulls into the driveway, and he rolls up and he goes to the front door, and he's knocking on the door. He's ringing the doorbell, and there's no answer. So he's thinking to himself, maybe I just beat her here.
Hide and seek.
Yeah, maybe I just beat her here. So not a big deal. He goes to the side door. He ends up jiggling the lock, and the thing's open. Right. So
it's Canada, JR. It's Canada.
Yeah, we leaving our doors open.
So trusting up there.
There's a lot of trust in Canada.
Yes, there is.
So he goes around to the side door. He opens the door, and he's thinking to himself, I have about literally 3 minutes before I just explode, right? And he's like, so I'm just going to go in the house, and I'm going to do my business. And I just beat her here. So he gets in the house, and he walks through the kitchen, and he goes through the back, and he gets the washroom, and he goes into the washroom, and he's sitting there doing his business. And it's like Dumb and Dumber. Like, he's holding the sides of the toilet. He said he is just destroying this thing. It's terrible. So now, as he's sitting there on the toilet and he's doing all this, he can hear footsteps coming down the stairs. And he's thinking to himself, oh, okay, she is here. That's good. So all of a sudden he's kind of like yelling, like, Sophie, is that you? And all of a sudden he hears this voice, this isn't Sophie. And now all of a sudden his eyes bug out of his head. He's like, oh my Lord. And he cleans himself up. He flushes the toilet. He opens the door, and there's a man standing there looking at him. And the wife is just around the corner. And he goes, is this Sophie's house? He's like, no, Sophie does not live here. And he says, oh, I'm so sorry. And he walks down past the kitchen, out the side door, gets in his car, and leaves.
Meanwhile, this guy's got to be thinking,
listen to me. This guy that I'm talking about is without question one of the most recognizable faces in all of Quebec.
No way.
And for this guy at 3:00 in the morning to have this hockey player walk out of his bathroom and just destroy it, I don't even know. This guy and this wife is telling this story for generations. I mean,
so you think
and no one believes him. Anytime this poor guy who opened the door and saw this player sitting on his toilet, no one in their right mind is going to ever believe this.
Listen, this is not Frankie Bouillon. This is not, JJ Daniel. This is like one of the most popular, recognizable faces in all of Montreal.
This is early 90s. I'm trying to think of who was there in the early 90s.
This would have been late 90s.
Late 90s.
This would have been late 90s.
Hey, stop, Riv. Stop.
Maybe into early 2000 if I'm remembering it right. But I would say probably late.
Why don't you just give him his number too?
Oh man, could you imagine? Can you imagine
JR, let's just say this. That would be like, it would be like, it would almost, if not almost, and I'm not saying this to kiss your ass, it'd be like you doing that in Chicago.
Yeah, well, you guys know what my story up in Calgary when I was going to that party in the middle of the night and got into a little accident, and I had to trek through the snow.
Yes.
Trek through the snow, and
yes.
I knocked on the door at 1:30 in the morning, and this old guy with a beard and a robe, like the Hugh Hefner robe.
Yeah, but didn't your taxi break down?
No. I needed a taxi. We were going out there with a bunch of people, and the car
in Calgary,
in the
suburbs,
yeah, like way out. And I was like, dude, this is not good. We got a game the next night. And
I got another suburbs Calgary story if you want one.
So then the snow was like this. I'm trekking through the snow in my loafers and my suit, right? And I finally get to this house, and I knock on the door. I said, "Sir, sorry, my friends and I got into a car accident. I need to call a cab to get out of here." He goes, "Hey, you're Jeremy Roenick." I went, "Of course, you got to do it." And any place you got to do this is in Canada, where everybody recognizes everybody, right? So at 3:00 in the morning, I'm sitting in the kitchen of this guy's house, and he brings a case of Molson Canadians because it takes like an hour for a cab to get out there. Him and I polish off a whole case of Molsons together, telling stories. It was pretty funny.
What year is this? What year? Like, is this?
That was 90, 91, 92.
Oh, so you're like starting out like to be a star at that time.
Yeah, well, I think 92 was my first 50 goal year, or 91, 92. I'd scored 40 the year before. I was scoring 50 that year. So yeah, it's not like I was not unknown.
Yeah,
in Calgary,
especially in Calgary.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that was not very. It was fun, but it was not ideal.
Do you care to tell your Calgary story, Riv? Or no? Do you not want to say that one? I don't know it. I don't know what you're gonna say.
I have like a cobweb, foggy brain that when you start to bring up cities, maybe I've buried a lot of stuff, but did you ever play with Killer? You ever play with Dougie Gilmour?
No. But Doug, every time I see Doug, and there's always the story when Doug lost his teeth. Okay, Doug got brand new teeth in the middle of the season. Why? Nobody knows. Okay, got brand new, beautiful new teeth, and he's playing against us, and off the face-off, he comes up, and I give him a cross check right to the mouth, and his teeth just disintegrate in his mouth. All of his brand new teeth, like, gone. So, and it was funny because I was doing an event in Toronto 2 weeks ago, and Wendell Clark was telling the story of how when Doug Gilmour lost his new teeth, and I said, "Hey, Wendell, guess who did it?" "I did it." He goes, "You're the one that knocked Dougie's teeth out?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, still to this day, it's the worst thing that ever happened to Doug Gilmour, because every time I see Dougie's like, "You mother effer." He said, you ruined my mouth. And he still doesn't have any teeth. He has the fake ones. It was so funny.
Well, I had the opportunity to play with Doug in Montreal for
great guy, man.
Oh,
awesome.
Awesome. Just there's one thing to play with NHL players. They're all great. They're all from different countries, and but it's something special to play with elite players in the game. Okay.
And that have heart.
And you know what, JR, I'm not just giving you the old pat in the back here, but I feel the same thing about when I played with you in San Jose. And there's just a difference between playing with certain, all the players, but you can pick out like individuals that are they're different. and they played a long time and always produced, and they had so many qualities. And anyway, you know, Doug was special. Doug was special, and he came to Montreal, and he wanted to set up the rookie party in Calgary. And so we're like, you know, hey, guy played in Calgary, won a cup in Calgary. Let's get her going. Dougie's got all the contacts. This is great. Boys are super excited. So we get the address, and there's a bunch of us that get in the car, get in the cab, and we're all traveling to go to this place where we're going to have the rookie party. We start driving away from the city. We're driving into the suburbs. And I said, hold on a second. I said, stop right here. Where are we going? The guy's like, and he's looking at you. This is the address you gave me. This is where we're going. I said, downtown is down there. We're driving. We were now 15 to 20 minutes away, and I can still see the lights of downtown. He's like, I'm just going to bring you to the address. I said, how much further? He goes, it's literally just up the road, 3 minutes. I'm like, what the heck? So we finally get to this place, and the guy points to us, and he says, that's the place right there. All the guys in the car, they're looking. It's a house. It's just a house. So all of a sudden, we see this guy open the door, and he waves to us. Says, come on in. And I'm looking at the other guys like, what the heck is going on? So we get in there, and there was a dark man, a black man that asked us to come in, but he was talking Italian. And I'm looking around at the place. There's no couches. There's no seating. All it is kind of wood fold-up tables with cheap tablecloths. So I'm looking at the guy. He's all, he's black guy talking Italian, and he's telling us about the antipasta and this and that. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, the first thing I'm like, where's your wine list? Like, what is going on here? Where's the wine list? You see the wine, and I'm like,
how come the boxes of wine, not cases of wine?
I am not kidding you.
I'm
like, as well as I do that when the rookie party, the team rookie party, it's sacred. You go to these restaurants, you spend way too much money on wine and this and that. So we get there, and I ask for the wine list. And I'm kidding you. There's Marlowe's, and like nothing that you would, even in a store, would be over $20, $30. I'm
sorry,
like,
stop. Marlowe's.
And
it's Merlot.
Merlot.
It's not Marlowe. It's Patrick Marlowe, and the wine is a Merlot. Carry on.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking at this. I said, this is all you have? Where's the specialty stuff? You have any bottles in the back? No bottles in the back. Okay. What kind of beer do you have? What do you have? He's like, we only have Coors Light. So that's it. We have one beer, Coors Light, and this is the wine we're talking about. Yep. The food comes out. Boy. You wouldn't even believe it.
And this what sets this up.
Yes. Someone that has.
Do you think he would own this right now? Would he own this story right now?
I think he would have to own this story.
Okay, keep going. I don't know if this is good or bad.
So at the end of the day, and everything was set up and everything was done, the bill came out, and it was shocking. I'm like, what? Like every Coors Light had to be $30 a beer, like with how much they're charging. Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was one of my most memorable rookie parties because it was so legendary bad. And you know what? Like, I'm like, to this day, like not one single guy and I mean not one single guy, said a word to Doug about this.
Okay,
not one.
that's too bad because I literally like I don't remember
You have
how
his number?
I texted him. I texted him while we're on the air here, and I said, "Hey, JR is telling a story about how he knocked out your teeth." He goes, "Yeah, he did. It was an accident." He goes, "Yeah, he did. It was an accident."
I felt so bad. But I'm like, oh gosh. But
Did you just ask him right now?
Should I not? I asked him. I said,
I want you to ask him
Rivs is
about
telling the
rookie
story
party
about the
that he
rookie
set
dinner
up in
you set up. Hold on. He goes, I said, Rivs is telling the story about the rookie dinner you set up in Calgary. He goes, I forgot that. So I should write, forgot about it, or
Hey.
forgot about it, or forgot that it happened.
Dougie owed somebody in Calgary. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I was gonna say that same thing. I was gonna say that guy must have owed that guy money, and that was
$100,000. Go rent out a house. Go get
That's
Coors
so
Light
good.
and a couple bottles of wine, and then we'll call it even.
Oh,
It was unbelievable.
come on.
So-
All right.
So okay, we're talking rookie parties. We had a rookie party when I was my second stint in Arizona, and we're at Morton's. Okay, so we're in the back room at Morton's, and for some reason, dinner's over. We'd already polished off like 30 bottles of wine, whatever the case may be, and George Larac says sends out this challenge. Anybody think that you know how you have the chocolate lava cakes at Morton's? Those
Gotta order them when you order your dinner.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, they come and they're like this big, right? And they're chocolate on top, chocolate in the middle. You cut it open, it's hot, and the chocolate. So George Larac sends out a challenge. He says nobody can eat 6 of these in 10 minutes. Like little ones, 6 of them, 6 like this. And I'm like,
with the ice cream?
No, just the cakes, just the cakes.
Okay.
And I'm like, I could do that. And he's like, so I bet 10,000 of my dollars to 100 of yours that you can't eat this 6 in 10 minutes. So everybody's like, JR, you can do it. And I'm like, I can do it. Yeah, there's no problem. I can do it. Everybody starts gathering around that each guy's betting each guy, right? They bring out six cakes right next to each other, right? So George is sitting there going, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. And everybody's like, okay, ready, go. And I hammer half one down. Like I had the first one down in less than 25 seconds. The first one, gone. And the second one, big bite. Go through it. Take a little shot of milk. Another one, gone. I had 2 done in the first minute. So this is like, I had 10 minutes to do 6, 2 down first minute. And everybody's like, go JR. They're passing money around, right? I'm betting JR. No, JR's not going to do it. And George is sitting there like this. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. So I hammer another one. I get one down, get another one down. It takes me about 40 seconds for the third. Now I'm good. Now I have about 7.5 minutes left to get the next 3 down. Slow down a little bit. I'm starting to feel a little sluggish.
How many do you have in you at this time?
I have 3 in me now. So now I'm starting on 4. Okay. Now I'm starting on 4. It's about 5 minutes.
And these things are so rich.
So rich.
And
chocolate.
Oozing.
Have you already had dinner? Dinner?
Yeah. I had a Cajun ribeye, and it was crazy. So I was already, but anyway, when you get challenged to do something, you're going to do it. So now I got 4 down. I'm starting the 5th one. I got 5 minutes to do 2. So I take a spoonful into the 5th one, right? And I take a bite, right? And everybody's like, oh, George, you're going to lose 10 grand. And George is like, just wait. And I'm like, we just wait. I take another bite. I take the second bite of the 5th one, right? And everybody's, again, they're screaming. They're like, this is great, hooting and hollering. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm not trying to hang in there. And I'm like, and when you get hit, you see the spots in front of your eyes.
You're
all
getting the sugar rush.
It's exactly. So all of a sudden, all these dots came in front of my face and was like, and I'm like, holy smoke, what is going on? And oh my God. And George's like, here it comes. And he's like, get out of the way. And I'm like, trying to take another bite. And as soon as I went to take another bite, and it just goes projectile vomit all over the table, hit a couple of the guys that were sitting on the other side. And I went like this, straight back, right off my chair, like knockout. The sugar,
That's
the sugar
gross,
rush,
by the way.
It was one of the most disgusting things you've ever seen. And George goes, you owe me $100. I was like, I can't see. I had such a sugar rush, and I for sure thought I was going to do it. And all of a sudden, everything went blank, and I puked all over Morton's and all over my teammates. And it looked like somebody that got massacred. Like, It was disgusting.
Good for you for trying. Good
But
for
I
you for
lost the bet.
Rivs, did you want me to take a break so you can go to the bathroom? Holy shit.
So Rivs has to go take a shit and had to stop the show. He's gonna go drop trowel.
No, he texts me. He says, break. I gotta piss. So I text LaRock too. Because I said to him, JR is telling a story about the 6 lava cakes, and he wrote back he goes, ha ha, it was nuts. He goes, it was disgusting.
It was disgusting. It was disgusting. Oh,
where was your best rookie dinner? Like, what was the best group of guys you ever played with, though, to do something like that? Like, it sounds like San Jose from what it sounds like with all the stories.
Was great, but the best team that I think I was ever on was the 2004 Flyers. We got John LeClaire, Mark Recchi, Simone Gagne, Tony Amonte, Alex Samnoff.
Yes, that was my rookie year in the league.
Danny Markov, Malakoff, Chris Terrian. Our team was sick that year.
I remember the night, and I think we've talked about this in the past. I know we had to have, because I was playing in the game that night. I couldn't believe it, how clear cut and blatant that second high stick was when you in the corner. I remember Rory Fitzpatrick went over and tried to lift your stick and got you right in the face, and then you went
three times.
You went ape shit that game. Launched the water bottle across the rink. It was a water bottle you tossed, right?
3 times. 3. I got clipped. I clipped here, and I went. I had to get stitches. I got like 5 stitches. Second period, I'm coming again, and again, another high stick slipped me open again and cut me even more. I had to get another set of like 5 or 6 stitches. So now I'm stitched twice in the same game, right? And I'm pissed. There.
No penalties, right? If I can't,
No.
If I'm not mistaken, there were no penalties
0
on any of the calls, and they were
None.
blatant.
So this was the third one that totally. So now I'm coming down the left-hand side. Okay, I'm coming in. I'm cutting to the net, and the defenseman tried to lift my stick, and he goes like this, and the stick slices me right into the same place, and it clips me. And as I'm going to the net, I can see Blaine Angus, who is the referee, standing by the side of the net, looking right at me like this. I can see him, and it clipped, and I looked at him, and he's looking at me. There is no way in hell that this referee did not see this high stick clip me in the mouth. Okay, my stitches immediately.
That's the one in the
opened
corner
up.
next to the net, right?
Yes, because I was coming. Here's the net. I was coming around the net because I was coming in from the right-hand side.
Yes.
Clipped me. Then I went behind the net because he didn't call a penalty, and I kind of stopped right in front of him. And I, with blood coming all down my mouth, I took all the blood and I spit at his feet. And I yelled a profanity at him. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's the third one now. Third one that he's missed. And I'm bleeding profusely. And I literally like stop at him. He's looking at me kind of like, ha, 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 screw you. And I spit a bunch of blood at his skates. That's when he teed me up. Right.
Did you go back to the bench? Because I remember
he teed me up. He gave me a misconduct. So this is third period. So he tees me up. I'm out of the game. So I'm going to the bench, right? And he goes to the penalty box. And I remember to bring me up. And I remember Mark Recchi skates over to him, kind of like, come on, man, let's, give the guy a break. He's been lit up 3 times. You haven't called one penalty. And that's when I hurled the water bottle all the way across the ice. It bounced once, hit Angus in the leg, right? And Mark's talking to him. And the guy goes, he just hit me with a water bottle. And Mark goes, hey, let's finish this game up real quick. Get more whistles, no more icings. Let's get this game over with. Let's get out of here. And he turns around and skates off. Well, I was so ripped.
I remember that. That was 03-04 season. I was a rookie in the league, and I'm witnessing a JR meltdown in the middle of a game. That I think we were kicking your ass that night.
Well, the meltdown happened even worse after. That's when I went in the locker room.
The interview after becomes one of the most legendary post-game sports interviews of all time. Not just, and you've had a lot of memorable interviews in front of the camera.
Yeah, and if you see my face, I'm lit up. Like my whole face.
You're like, I can remember what you're saying because we were all laughing no offense, we were all laughing in the locker room after, as we're like,
sure. I mean, why wouldn't you?
You're like, NHL, wake up! I'm bleeding like a stuck pig over here. I've been hit no calls or something like that. And you're like, wake the fuck up or something. You went off, and then
how many stitches?
Went off about the referee. Oh well, I got 5 the first time, 6 the second time, and who knows how many I had to get after the game to stitch it up again. It was three separate times in the same cut, and so your lip is just like it's like ground meat by then.
It looked like
ground meat. It was awful. And I'm sitting in the locker room, and I'm like NHL, will you please get a hold of your referees, get some better referees, or at least hold them more accountable because this is bullshit. I said, wake up.
Fined or suspended for that?
I got suspended for 2 games. It was a $90,000 water bottle throw.
That's right, because it was 2 days, two games pay. Two games pay. Rev, how was the bathroom break?
How many?
Was it a good bathroom break, Rev?
Oh yeah.
Just so you know, we recorded right through it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Why not?
Well, because it's like hit pause. You're like hit pause. Like what? You think I can't? I can't carry a conversation with JR without you?
Did you pull a Dumb and Dumber, or was it Streamline? It was pretty good, Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
You were gone for a while. You must have had your coffee hit you.
I had to regroup. I had to regroup.
We're good. That boy.
Well, it looked like you wanted to.
So I gotta tell you guys kind of years after, a couple years after that happened. So the referee who I threw the water bottle at, that was his last year. He didn't ref after that year. So I got a message, Facebook message from his wife saying, "You ruined my husband's career," so on and so forth. And I'm like, I didn't ruin his career. He ruined his own career. Terrible referee. Sorry.
So
really,
he was not brought back. Obviously there were more things that he didn't do, or was that game the reason why, or what? You don't know? No one.
I couldn't tell you, but I know that was his last year refereeing in the National Hockey League. So it was, according to his wife, it was my fault why he didn't have a job anymore.
It's amazing, Riv. I don't know if you had something you wanted to add there, but I was just going to say something. But if you wanted to say something, go ahead, because I was going to change the topic.
No, I don't know. I mean, I think when you play that long, I don't know if you felt the same thing, JR, but it's almost like there's certain refs that you get away with things, and there's certain refs that just do not like you, period.
Well, speaking about refs, and yes, you're exactly right. And what happened to Tim Peel last year is an absolute abomination, disgusting display of of respect, lack of respect, and lack of loyalty to what happened to Tim Peel last year. And if you guys don't remember what happened, and I know he won't talk about it, but I will. When you're a referee in the league for many years as Tim Peel was in the league, and probably one of the most popular referees through all the players,
highly respected,
one of the greatest guys in the world, right?
Yep.
And he's reffing, and you know what? It's pretty much known as a player that if you're playing in a game and another team has like 3 or 4 penalties on them in a row, called on them, chances are one of the next calls is going to come on you. The referees are looking a little bit more to kind of even it up, right? That's it, right, Riv, right, Petey?
Because these refs are not perfect, and they make split decisions in an extremely fast game. And you could have Tim Peel's partner that makes a call that maybe Tim feels, I don't know if that's a call, but his partner makes the call, right?
Right. Well, this is the issue, which really bothers me, because what happened to him and why it happened to him is so stupid and happens so much in every sport. In every sport, the way referees think. And I think referees in the National Hockey League are the best referees in all sports. Granted, they make a lot of mistakes and we argue a lot, but they are good, and I think they try to be fair. Tim Peel is a fair referee, okay? He's not going to go in there and try to make calls to favor another team, but he wants a good hockey game. And if he sees that one team's taking penalties, he's going to be a little bit more, and all referees, by the way, are going to be a little bit more liberal in calling something that maybe is on edge to try to even it up, because they want an even hockey game, right? The last thing they want is after a game to hear the criticism from the fans and other people saying, oh my God, Tim Peel really wanted this other team to win. Maybe he had bets in this other team. It was 8-1 in power plays. No, they don't want that. Tim Peel had the wherewithal in this game. Okay, it was Nashville versus Detroit. Okay, and Detroit has had a whole bunch of power plays, right? And so it was a very iffy call, and the Nashville guy got called by Tim Peel, and Tim Peel says, you know what, I needed to do that. I was just looking to even it up and give him a penalty. Okay, well, yeah, Detroit.
That's right. His microphone was hot, right?
His microphone was hot. He says, I was looking for it. I was looking for Nashville because not to hurt them, but to try to find an area to.
Well, let me add something in his. Yeah, go on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me just finish because it's good.
Please do.
So, first of all, if you're Detroit, you have to know that the next call is coming to you. So be a little bit more careful, because it's like it was 5-0 in power plays.
Our coaches told us that.
Yeah, and exactly, and the fact that Tim Peel had the professionalism to say, okay, let's see if we can find something and get something on the board, maybe even it up a little bit, and which a lot of referees will do. You just ask them. It's just part of the job and mentality. And National Hockey League fires him 23 days. Listen, this is what's 23 days before his final game that he was going to retire on. Like, if you're the National Hockey League, you can't wait 23 games to let him finish after the career that guy's had, because you said you want to uphold the integrity of the game. Are you fucking shitting me? The integrity of the game would have been, let the guy play, let the guy ref 4 games, and on the 23rd, let him retire so his family and his kids can come watch him ref his final game, and let the players that are on the ice go up and shake his hand and say thanks for everything that you've done for the National Hockey League, like every referee that does.
How many years? How many years was he reffing?
Oh, he must have been 20 years, 21 years.
Yeah.
And the National Hockey League fires him for giving a penalty and saying he was looking for the penalty and saying that we have to stick up for the integrity of the game. Are you kidding me? With some of the things that happened in this game, and nobody that is really bad as integrity goes, and nothing happens of it. And you do that to Tim Peel, one of the greatest referees that I've ever played with, and has refereed my games. Tim Peel did not deserve that, and unfortunately, he'll never get an apology. But that was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
There's not it sucks because he had the hot mic on, because I have no problem with what he's saying, like with what he said. And the last thing I want to say,
do you think the Detroit Red Wings cared that he made that call?
No, but I like even opponents, even players that, in my opinion, if I'm watching that, say we're in the locker room day after and they show that on the news because we all watch the highlights and stuff, I'd be like, well, great. At least we know the ref is, keeping score and knows that we're getting smoked in penalties here. Because let's be honest with each other. We all played. Every single shift that goes without a penalty, there's a penalty not called, or there's a penalty missed. Every single shift, there's a little clutch, a little grab, a little high stick, a little hook, a little hold, a little trip, something. So you could literally have 35 penalties a game if you wanted to call the game straight. I don't care which game you're playing, even if it's a 2-penalty game. Every shift you miss a penalty. So I have no problem with what he did.
You know who doesn't have any issue with Tim Peel and what he did? 750 players, because they all understand it. They all understand exactly what was said. And you're going to have, I'll be devil's advocate here for a moment. There's people that are going to be listening to this saying, well, listen, I mean, he called 5 penalties on Detroit or on Nashville against Detroit, and Detroit had 5 power plays.
No, it was Detroit. It was Detroit. He called it on Detroit.
Okay. So what if they deserve the 5 penalties? What if they deserve the 5 penalties? Why would Tim Peel have to, try and find a power play for Nashville?
Well, again, yes, it is, but you don't look at or they deserve it. You look at the numbers, and every referee wants.
But what I'm trying to say, JR, is what if a team like Detroit on that one given night was not playing to the rules, and therefore they got penalized for hooking, tripping, cross-checking, and they had their 7 penalties. Why should Nashville, because they have not taken a penalty, why should they have to have a ref find a penalty? Is all I'm trying to say.
It's not that he's looking, but he's going to call something probably a little lesser of a penalty.
Yeah.
Just because of the number of penalties, because of discrepancy of penalty calls. He's probably going to be more likely to call a minor infraction. Whereas if it was a closer game in score, if it was a closer game in penalties, he probably would have let go, right? So, and again, it's referee's discretion, right? And again, no referee wants to be called the homer, wants to say that a terrible job that he favored another team. No referee wants that, and I think every referee kind of has it in their mind. But to fire and to end referees over that mind, when we know what goes on in the game, on the bench, on the ice, and 23 days for his retirement, and not let him get his deserved
I don't understand why they didn't
walk away.
Yeah, I don't understand why they wouldn't even suspend him for 2 games or something and just say, we're going to hold you out for 2 games behind the scenes, okay?
Yeah.
And you're going to go back and you're going to coach or you're going to go ref your next is 23 days. So in that, he's probably reffing 12 games. Go and rest.
Hey, that brings me to another thing. Because the National Hockey League protects the referees like nobody's business. Like you cannot the fact that if you go after a referee or you criticize a referee, even when I was working television, I wasn't allowed to criticize the referees and stuff like that. They were protected by the National Hockey League. Now, it's another debate whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, that's probably why their names aren't on the back of sweaters anymore, to protect them.
Probably. Very, very true. But the players have to be held accountable. They have to do press conferences afterwards. They have to answer to the media and how they played and why they played and all that stuff. And they're the players. How come, I believe that the referee should be accountable for how they ref. You know what? Why don't you put them on a desk right afterwards and let them do a press conference after, why'd you make that play? Why'd you make that call? Or what was that? And then even more so, how come we the ratings of some of these referees? Do they get in trouble in the National Hockey League? Do they miss games? Do they get fined? We don't know. It would be nice to know as players of referees that we thought did a terrible job, and vice versa. Referees that did a great job. Do they get bonuses? Do they get extra games? We know they get playoff games because the good ones go to the playoffs and the bad ones don't.
Who does the interview with the refs after? Not the media, the players. You get 3 players get to go in and ask questions from each team. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding with you. But I love your idea. I love the idea because I would love to see that too.
Besides their team losing, right? One of the biggest complaints that you hear from fans is the refereeing. Either how bad it was or the bad call, or how did they miss this? How did they call that a goal? How did they not see that? And regardless of, my opinion, that is what people think of. And that's in all sports. It's not just hockey. It's all sports.
Well, don't you think
that was a pass interference?
JR, don't you think now with the rise in popularity and legalization of gambling that they would want to get it right, because you have a lot of people gambling on these games, and games come down to refereeing sometimes. Look at the Super Bowl a few years ago with the Saints, New Orleans Saints, where that penalty was not a penalty, and next thing you know, they lose the game and they don't go to the Super Bowl. It's
listen, you're in a football game, and it's coming down. You have a line that's a 7-point line, right? And you have a team that's up by 9. And all of a sudden they prevent defense and it left in the game. And all of a sudden, long pass, some little touch, flag comes out, pass interference, ball goes all the way down to the 10, field goal. The line crushed with 1 minute left because of a flag. It's pretty easy to influence that over under line just by a referee's look and attitude of why he's calling a pass interference, when you're like, what? That wasn't pass interference.
If I were a referee, there's no question you would have to check. Now? You would have to check my account, because my buddies could call me and say, I'm throwing $1 million on this game. I need your help. I'm going to bet on that, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it as close as I can for my buddies on the sidelines.
I wonder how many secret rendezvous Starbucks, envelope passed under the table. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what are you drinking? I'm drinking a latte. Oh, latte looks good. Oh, you dropped something on the floor. Oh, thanks.
Hey,
see you later.
You ever wonder why these referees get $1 million gift cards to Best Buy? It's one way.
Listen, we should be so hard. The referees have a hard job. They really do. And it's
what
a
league
tough job,
has the hardest job?
But you just, I think hockey has the hardest job, to tell you the truth.
Just because of the speed of the game.
The speed of the game, everything happens so fast. I think there's so many things that could constitute a penalty and not. It's all discretion. Hockey, I think, is the easiest. NBA might be pretty tough because if you're supposed to just touch somebody, it's a foul. But you see crazy shit happen in basketball games, and to me, what's the easiest sport that if a referee was going to dictate a game in terms of score, now this is just hypothetical. If there was a referee that needed that was paid to alter a game and to control the points, I'm not saying that they do that, but I'm not saying that they don't. What sport referees would have the easiest ability to control the point spread?
I gotta
Football.
say basketball.
I would say basketball too. That would be mine. Hockey would be the hardest.
You can foul guys out in basketball. You could have a star player, give him ticky-tack fouls, and he's out by the second half.
But it's not even that.
All the bench guys are playing, and
it's not even that. You have an over/under game at 210. You have over 210 points. It's getting pretty close at the last 5 minutes. Foul, 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 free throw, free throw, free throw, free throw, foul, foul, free throw, over. You win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's true. I don't know.
Put the envelope in my overcoat. It's in the ref room.
Yeah, football second. Obviously, when you have, especially in professional football, when you have a pass interference penalty that is, spot fouled. That's 40. How many times have you seen a 50-yard pass that was missed, and the flag comes up, and then all of a sudden, there you go.
Yeah.
Field goal range. Goal range.
So listen, I mean, this is the best part about doing a podcast, and it's the best part about really when you think about it. If we wanted to talk hockey today, is there anything really to talk about? I mean, I don't know, but we can talk about anything. That's what makes it great. But I'll say this. I said to Craig JR all the way back when we started right before, he's like, what are we talking about today? And I think today's been unbelievable with the stories, by the way. So we'll call this one story time today, I'm sure. Story time with JR and Craig. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. But the last thing I'll say to you guys is this, and I said to Craig, I said, I have something I think is a great conversation, and it sparks off something that we talked about the last time you were on with us, JR, because we talked about the draft and all this stuff and changing the draft age and things like that. I just look and I look at Shane Wright, and I look at all these other first overall picks, and even take Jack Eichel, second overall pick, as he had like just a terrible time here in Buffalo. Our parents, some spend more than others. Patrick Kane, same thing. But our parents, and I'm using not like the top picks, 1, 2, 3 overall, those guys in particular. Your parents spend so much time, money, effort, and sacrifice for you to move through the ranks, right? Why does Shane Wright have to go and be a hero for the shittiest team in the NHL and be put in a position to have to carry the weight of the whole team and the rebuilding and the future of the team? Or a Connor McDavid's worked out fine. But I'm just saying, why does the league get to dictate where these players go after their parents have set them up or done so much? You're laughing, and I'll just stop my question there because you're laughing. And I never thought about it, because when I'm coming up, I'm just thinking, wow, it'd be great to be drafted by an NHL team, and that's what they want you to think. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying you should be able to choose, but it's got to suck.
What do you think?
No, it's the only way. It's the only way that you that you keep parity within the National Hockey League. It's the only way that you keep failing teams and teams that don't have great markets competing with other great market teams. Because I'll tell you right now, if I was a free agent and I had the choice to go to a team, I wouldn't be going to Arizona. I wouldn't be going to Winnipeg. I wouldn't be going to maybe pick it. I'd be going to Vegas. I'd be going to Nashville. I'd be going to these towns that are great to live in, great atmospheres, good teams. So you can't just rely on keeping a team or getting a team better just through free agency. You have to have young players that come up, and and the only way you're going to do that is letting the worst teams get the best players and hope they pan out. I mean, it took forever for that to happen to Edmonton, but Edmonton looks like the real deal this year. But will that continue? I don't know, but that's my take, I guess. Riv?
I don't know. I guess my theory on it was I just think it's, I don't know. Maybe they don't care. Maybe I'm putting too much thought into it.
Let me ask you a question.
I'm confused
Pete,
with
let me
the
ask you a
question.
question. Well, I kind of get what he's talking about, but Petey, let me ask you a question. If it was your kid and you did all that, right? You sacrificed, and your kid now, would you care? Like, now your kid made it to the show, and he's a professional. Now he's gonna make millions of dollars. Do you care as a parent at first where he goes? Or are you just proud that he's made it?
Am I a parent that is like my mom and dad that didn't know anything about the business of hockey and sports and all that? Or am I me, the parent who played in the league?
Well, I mean, it could go either way. I mean,
because a lot of people, look back and, the name Bonnie Lindros comes to mind, and you think about Carl Lindros and how they, he held out from Quebec, but could anyone blame him? In reality, like, you were in the league. Were you in the league yet?
It's happened twice, right? It's happened twice, right? With Mario and with Lindros, right?
Yeah, I mean, why would you hold it against these players for doing that? They work there, and I'm thinking about Shane Wright, who's not really having a first overall pick year, by the way, but that's a conversation for another day. But all I'm saying is, I think about like a Jack Hughes. I played in New Jersey. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to New Jersey. Like I think about even Sidney Crosby. Like, if Lemieux's not there, okay. Does Crosby really want to go to Pittsburgh? No offense. I mean, and the same can be said for Buffalo and all, but I played here, so I understand. So it's a little bit different. I'm biased toward it. But I guess, can you really hold it against Lemieux and Lindros for those scenarios, for not wanting to go to those teams?
No, but I think you got to be a really pretty special player.
And they were.
Have that. Yeah,
and they
were.
were.
There's 100%. But and listen, to me, to be drafted is an unbelievable gift from God, and to be able to make it to the pros is a gift from God. And I don't think anybody should argue where they go. Now, whether they stay there afterwards is a different story. But be thankful that you got drafted, that you're in the league, that you're playing in the league, and go from there. But play into the situation. Play into the situation where then you can make the decision and not somebody else. And that's
so go like second, third, or fourth overall instead of first, right?
Well, just go to where you're going, and then play as great as you want. Get the free agency if you want to leave, and you feel you want to leave.
Kind of like Austin Matthews is doing with Toronto. Get coming in where he, does an Arizona boy really want to go and be the face of the Leafs? I don't know. I don't think so. But
you think he wants to go back to Arizona?
I think he loves playing in Toronto. He's that kind of that competitive guy. He loves the game. He loves the tension. I think he loves the spotlight on him, because he's not gonna act it, but in his mind, he wants to electrify that crowd. He wants to win hockey games for that city. I think Austin Matthews loves playing in Toronto.
Does he love it, or is he content there? Because there's a difference. I mean, he's making 11 point something, so he can be happy staying there, probably getting some side cash. He's a super stud there. They love him. It's a massive hockey market, so they're obsessed over him. But do you think
there's a lot of pressure?
He loves
to be in Toronto.
There's a lot of pressure too in Toronto. One of the markets that has the most pressure. The best part about where Austin Matthews is at is he's got two other guys that are making $11 million too.
Yeah. Have you guys ever met Austin? Have you ever talked to him at any point?
No.
He's so down to earth. He's so soft spoken, and he's just one of those guys. He loves the game. He loves being around the boys. He loves getting on the ice. Not many things bother this kid. Okay. He's very even keeled, and he's professional beyond his years. He's almost like a Sidney
What's he have
Crosby.
To worry about? He's making $11.6 million.
This goes back
20 years old.
But this goes back to the point of you saying pressure. Pressure doesn't bother this kid. This kid doesn't sit there and get bothered by what the media says or what he's going to go out, and his expectations for himself of what he expects to do on that ice, I think, fuels Austin Matthews. And
so how does he deal with the situation that Toronto right now hits the playoffs every year. They lose out in the first round. The media in Toronto is obviously it can be difficult. It can be
They're happy
extreme.
now.
It's one of the biggest markets,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't happy 3 weeks ago.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, but Austin Matthews is not a guy who's going to complain and go home and bitch and whine and cry in his pillow and say, why don't they like me? Why it's not my fault. He'll do his best to come back and say, all right, we get it. Take accountability. I got it. Let's go. I mean, Mitch Marner probably
He's going to go to Bieber's house and record an album.
Mitch Marner took more heat than anybody on the Toronto Maple Leafs of anybody last year. And then he started off awful this year. Now he's got it going. And you're happy to see it. But hey, listen, you're going to get paid a lot of money. You got to be able to take the heat. And you got to be able to take the pressure. And there's different players take it differently. There are a few players in the game that I think are as classy as you can possibly get when it comes to pressure. Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid are two of the guys that, and Patrice Bergeron. You can go with Patrice Bergeron.
Yep.
And I think Austin Matthews. I don't think there are three guys that are more poised and calm and in control through any kind of atmosphere or pressurized situation than those four.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible you point those guys out because Sidney Crosby fascinates me.
Awesome. Yeah.
You never hear about him.
I used to hate him.
Same. I was very different. I loved Ovi early on because he was a fast car, fancy guy, flashy, heavy hitter, big goal scorer, very much, personality, very charismatic. And then, Crosby seemed boring, and then he had the whiny years and all this. But now my attitude toward it all has completely shifted as I've gotten older and maybe a tad bit more mature. I think I definitely cannot relate and understand Sidney Crosby, but I can appreciate his silence, his absence from the camera. I have so much respect for him. He's such a great ambassador for the game of hockey.
My whole attitude has switched.
Who's a bigger ambassador for the game of hockey, Sidney Crosby or Alex Ovechkin?
For selling, I don't know. It's a great question.
Alex Ovechkin, man.
Selling the game
out there. He's taking his kids out. The kid's skating on the rink, and his kid's just a little turd. He's like 2 years old or 3 years old, flying around. And Ovechkin has personality.
Yeah. Well, look at the celebration they had when he won the Stanley Cup. He was in the fountain. He was
the summer of Ovi.
They did crazy things. Sidney is more just calm. He's more
like a grandfather.
I don't see Sidney Crosby in the bar going. Boom, right? That's Ovechkin, and they're two different people. But you want to talk about two guys that's carried the National Hockey League with absolute class and just the way that they played, their consistency in the way that they played. It's been incredible.
Crosby's the guy standing next to Mario at the poolside at the private party. And that's fine.
Crosby is in the bar because he goes with the boys, but he's in the back booth like this.
Yep.
Yep. With a soda water. Club soda.
Good for him.
You know what?
Good for him.
Totally agree.
If that's what greatness is, then I've heard that's what Shane Wright is. I've heard exactly what you just said is what Shane Wright is. I heard he's an 8:30 bedtime guy, maybe even a hyperbaric chamber. Hyperbaric, how do you say it? That chamber thing?
Yeah, hyperbaric. Yeah,
I think he's one of those guys. Like, I think this kid is like super crazy, like serious about the craft of being a hockey player. Like a Sidney, you know him, Riv. I mean, or you coached him. I don't know how well you know him, but I mean, you know him.
Yeah, he's
I've heard that about him.
He's a special individual. He's leadership. He's Patrice Bergeron like. He's Sidney Crosby like in the way that he presents himself. He's a very mature young man. He's a great hockey player. There's no question about it. And you just alluded to, Petey, that we were talking about Shane Wright who is the number 1 overall projected pick this year. He's been projected to go number 1 overall for quite some time now. But interesting that he is not lighting up the OHL. 16 games. I think you said he had 8 goals and 19 points in 16 games, which
7 goals, 12 assists.
Yeah,
That
it's
might
not.
hurt him. That might hurt him. That might
Yeah,
hurt
that's
him.
not great. That's not great at all. But I don't know what's happening there. I don't know if he's dealing with an injury, if something's nagging him, or he's got the jitters in his draft year, or what's happening. But he is a special player. He is tremendous talent, skills, on and off the ice. Young man, he's going to be someone's going to get him, and they're going to be very pleased.
Well, I
very
apologize for the whole theory of the first overall pick. I just was sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, like, what if it was my kid? So I guess I started thinking about Lindros and
Actually, if it was my kid, I'd be like, you better go first because you're going to go to Arizona and I'm going to come visit you in the wintertime.
This is true.
Exactly.
Arizona, I would be like, I don't care if they're 0-82. If they're 0-82, I'm going to Arizona happily.
The team might suck, but let me tell you something. I went there in 96 and I owned a house there until 2021. I lived there for 25 years, even though I was playing for other teams. I always went back to Arizona. It is an amazing place to live, an amazing place to raise a family, and an amazing place to have, for your body and your mind. Now, different if you want to win hockey games these days, but in terms of your living, not many better places, I'm telling you.
Well, go living. You did some charity stuff yesterday. You were at a golf or an outing with
so
canines.
So Teemu Solani does a tournament every year where he sponsors, he helps protect all the military dogs that come back from Afghanistan, from Iraq, from overseas, of doing their duty. And believe it or not, there are a lot of dogs that come back with the
PTSD.
PTSD, and they need homes, because a lot of the times these animals come back and the government euthanizes them after they've come back from their missions. And what Teemu does and his organization is they raise money to find homes for these military dog heroes. And so yesterday was myself, Joe Sakic, and Teemu out. And if you guys haven't seen the video yet, I'm going to put it on. I did a demonstration where I put on the bite suit and ran down the fairway, and the dog attacked me. And this shows how unbelievable these dogs are and how brave they are. They found a bomb they put a bomb in one of the golf carts, and the dog sniffed it out and found it, and then attacked me with my bite suit on. It was an amazing tournament, and it's an amazing organization. And watch my social media for some military dog videos.
Yeah.
It's great. It was great. We had so much fun.
No doubt.
I have a hole in my calf though from the dog biting my calf on the run.
I remember they were doing the bomb thing down at the rink years and years ago when I was playing for the Sabres, and I asked the guy if I could put the arm on, and that, you hold on to the thing inside the long arm, and the thing comes over your arm, your hand about 4 or 5 inches, so the dog can't get it. And he said, just stand there like this. And the dog sat there. They gave him the command and he ran. He's like, I didn't have the whole suit on, just the arm. And he ran. He's like, whatever you do, don't move. And I stood there and I braced myself. I could not get over the force of this dog. It was a German Shepherd. I was just like, Jesus, like I can't believe these things wanted to turn on you. Well, that's good. Yeah. That's good what you're doing. That's good what you're doing. Did you say you have a whiskey thing going on too?
So I have whiskey coming out in the beginning of 2022. It's called Whiskey Wild. And
is it, it's not a secret, is it? I didn't just spoil a secret?
No, not at all. It's a chocolate whiskey. I've been working on it for 2 years, and obviously the pandemic has kind of slowed things down, but when it comes out, you two will receive the first 2 bottles, and we will toast the start of my whiskey company right here on the show. And you guys aren't going to believe how awesome this chocolate whiskey is.
Well, Riv, I got a picture of Riv the other night. I called, FaceTimed him. He was in the tub with a scotch and a bag of chips watching a movie. So we'll do it with Riv in the tub. I'm almost 10 years sober, but I'm sure it's amazing. But we'll pass it along to somebody. But definitely send a bottle because I know people that will love it, and I'll get you.
I love
I'll get
it.
you the reviews.
I love
on
it.
So
I love
thanks
it.
for your time again. Honestly, you want to know something? What's amazing is that we were like, there's really not a ton to talk about. We'll just chat with him for 30, 45 minutes and get out of here. And it's been way too long. Please thank your wife again. Sorry if your coffee's cold.
Hour and a half of banter, man. I tell you,
I
all the fans
can't
out
believe
here,
it.
all the fans out here. Seriously, there's no better podcast to watch for entertainment than After the Whistle. Are you kidding me? The bomb.
There's our sales pitch. Thanks, buddy. We'll chat with you next week.
See you guys. Awesome show.
That's a wrap on another episode of After the Whistle. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, After the Whistle, and at Craig Rivet 52, at the Instigator 76. And you can find us, as you already know, on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and anywhere else where you can get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to spread the word.